Testing to see if this works. Testing to see if this works. Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close your thoughts and your consciousness and your palace and your temple, your hall, your Migdan, your Mishkan, your Mikdash, your Sukkah, your hall, which you dwell inside your body. And bring your consciousness, your body, and your thought process, and your inner man and your inner being, and your 12 cranial nerves and your 12 melanin centers within your hands and your feet that control the rest of your body, all the way down to your shore, to your belly button, and bring your body into alignment with Yahuwah Elohim, not with a crook back or a hunchback, nor with anything secret within oneself that can cause one's mind and Satan to enter in and take out and not allow the seed and the bar to come into your mind. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as a Natan, a gift to us as another Shabbat, that we may cease from our labors, our works, who we are, who we thought we can be, and be who He wants us to be in the earth. For today we acknowledge the one who made all the heart of the earth, all the rivers and streams, all the mountains and the har and the jagged edge rocks throughout the world. The one who gives life and understanding to all creatures and all animals and all behemoth, all Ramiz, all Oath, and all the God in the Yam, in the sea. The one who allows them to be fruitful and multiply. The one who allows them to be the actual servants of those who walk in obedience to the righteousness that He had, not only in the understanding of it, but to walk in it in truth, into the bar, as it was in the beginning. So he said, better is the end of a thing than the beginning, knowing that the end of this is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. For all things will return back to Yahuwah Elohim sitting on His throne. So as we move forward in kindness, we move forward in ahab, we move forward in joy and patience, we move forward in faithfulness, move forward in meekness, we move forward in self-control, we move forward in the fruits of the Ruach, we move forward in these 9 things that are going to give birth within ourselves, to give birth to a new being, a new child, a new babe, and that new babe is going to grow up to everlasting life, knowing that this is true. And be renewed in the image and likeness of Yahuwah is to be returned back to your first love. So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 1. Mostly Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 1. Actually, go to verse 4. Verse 3. Proverbs 3 and 3. It says, let not love, ahab, and faithfulness forsake you. Right? So we know Amunah and ahab is something you need to have. You need to have ahab and Amunah. It is the fruits of the Ruach. This is part of your new birth. Right? New being you're going to be. Right? Don't let it forsake you. Because he said, if you're going to leave, you know how to tell you, if ahab and Amunah leaves you, then you'll be following Satan. Because he's all author of all error and doubt and make you leave one Amunah. Right? And that's the whole point, because He want to take that love out your heart. Bind them around your gogoro, your neck. Write them on the tablets of your heart and mind. So you will find favor and good success in the sight of Elohim and man. So you want to know why you ain't got good success in the sight of Elohim and man? Right? That's the reason why. Has nothing to do with anything else. Right? You don't need to put extra things on it. You need to put some extra frosting on top of it, because it's not going to work. Like we look at ourselves, and the translation from the lower self to the higher self, and the higher self actually brings you about those very thought processes within oneself that one may stay in their higher nature. Your thoughts, your mind, your yetzer, your imaginations is what brings you to peace. Right? Verse 5 says, trust in Yahuwah with all your heart. Right? Because you're in tranquility and peace and shalom in the midst of all the things that happens, then you're truly trusting in Yahuwah, knowing that He's going to take care of everything. Your sleep will be sweet. And do not lean to your own understanding. He said, don't do it when these things happen. Don't lean to your own understanding, because when these things start to happen, you don't want to lean to them. Because your own understanding, your own counsel, then you're going to find yourself doing erratic mistakes. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. So that's in all your ways. That's in your emotions. It's in your health, in your body, in your steps, in your hands, in your feet. And what you see with your eyes, hear with your ears, and the things you utter out of your mouth, in all your ways, right? Who you join yourself to, right? All these are a part of it. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. right? He who gives thought to the word, he or she who gives thought to the word will always discover good. Think about that. It says, be not wise in your own eyes, because that's the whole point. Everybody wise in the world today. Hakam is prevalent. Like everybody's wise in their own eyes. But if you ain't got Yahuwah, you wise in your own eyes, because Yahuwah is the only one who has Hakam, and if he can give it to you, because he got a whole bunch of it. He that lacks wisdom, let him ask Yahuwah. He give it abundantly. Fear Yahuwah and turn away from evil, because that's what we're doing now. You got 10. We're on the 4th day. This is the 4th day. This is the 4th commandment. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it set apart. This is the 4th day since Turah. 6 days shall you labor, and the 7th you rest. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the Shamayim, the earth, and the sea. Right? All this is all part of it. Turn away from evil, and you can't do Ra while you're in it. It will be healing to your flesh. So when you do all of this, it be healing. It renews your flesh, your natural man. It will literally prolong your life. It will literally purify your body. Literally, your natural man. It will literally destroy all desires and wants within oneself, according to all the works of the flesh that you ain't supposed to love in this world. It will literally give you a brand new body. It will renew the body, because the body dies every day. So you think about it, every 7 days you lose cells. Everything starts to be and starts to leave, right? On the 7th day, guess what happened? He renews your mind again. And guess what? He renews your cells again on the 7th day. Because the body, every 7 years, your cells renew itself. So every week, your body just get renewed in its cells. If you hear to the bar, if you take heed to the bar and you give thought to the bar, if you walk into the bar, if you're obedient to the bar, then it'll just renew you in your mind every single week. And you'll always have illumination, and you'll always be a new being. You'll be renewed. And refreshment to your bones. It'll give you drink to your bones, your natural man. Yes, your natural man. You want to prolong your life to the end of your life? Just obey the truth. And the truth will set you free from dying before your time. It will. It will. But that's the whole point of this. Because we look at ourselves and we say, how does this work? Right? How does this work? Right? So this is the book of Proverbs. Book of Proverbs. Actually, Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 1. 19 and verse 1. Actually, Proverbs 19 and 1. It says, better is the poor person who walks in his integrity. It's better to walk in your integrity and be poor than one who is crooked in speech and is a fool. What do you mean crooked in speech? They telling you not to keep the commandments. They tell you not to walk into the bar. They telling you not to walk into the bar. Why? Because they are fools. Because you know why? Desire. It says desire without knowledge is not good. I desire things, but you ain't got no da'ah, no da'ah, no binah, no hakma in your mind. And you got desire. You know what's going to happen to you? You're going to be doing things erratic. You're going to have hatred, jealousy, envy. You got strife, you got complaining, robberies. You have adultery, fornication in your heart. Idol worship, idolatry, fits of anger, hatred, right? Matter of fact, you might be doing men with men, women with women. You be doing all types of things. You got all these types of desires in your heart. And guess what? You're gonna be doing things without knowledge, because you need knowledge. Right? It's like a child being born and you don't really got no knowledge. So how do we know desire without knowledge? Because that's what happened to Kuah in the garden. She had knowledge, but then she had a desire. She did. She knew one commandment. Did she know the whole totality of Satan? No. She had one commandment. But that one commandment Satan used to destroy it. And guess what? It still works. Look at today. And whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way, right? Because you get antsy, you want to hurry up and get, is that how you say, when you start to move quickly without knowledge of what you're doing, then guess what happens? You end up making a vow and then you want to get out immediately. Right, and it says, when a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against Yahuwah, right? Right, we talk about man or woman's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against Yahuwah. He said, why would you rage? And he said, man, it brought you to, your folly brought you to what? Ruin. Because that's what happens. Then you start to get angry and wrath, and you be like, just like Satan. Behold, Satan is come down to the earth, and his wrath, he has much wrath, his time is short. You're going to be raging against Yahuwah. And you turn into him. Because your folly brought you to ruin. That's what happened to Satan. When he was fighting his Michael and his Malachite, and they were fighting, and he got cast down to the earth. It brought him to ruin. And guess what? Wealth brings many friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friends. We're skipping over to verse 10. Marshally, Proverbs 19 and 10. It is not fitting for a fool to live in luxuries, right? So why would he say a fool? Because we just read it. He said crooked speech is of a fool, right? Why would they tell you that? They're going to tell you not to do the commandments. They tell you not to keep the Shabbat. They're going to tell you to transgress the bar, transgress Yahuwah's order, do all types of things. He says, it is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. Why would you allow a fool to live in luxury? A person who has folly, who's raging against Yahuwah, and it brings them to ruin. Why would they live in luxury? Do you know, a luxury life? Right, so that word for luxury, 19 and 10, Proverbs 19 and 10, Proverbs 19 and 10, that word for a luxury, right? The word for luxury is ta'anuga, right? It means pleasant, delight, delicate, luxury, pleasant things. It's not fitting for a fool to live pleasantly or in luxury. And it says, much less as a slave to rule over princes. It don't make no sense. You're a fool and you're trying to live in luxury. You know how people get a mansion? He said, I got a mansion, I got a house that's worth a whole bunch of money, but then I have an apartment-like mindset, or I have a tent-like mindset, and I'm a fool, I don't keep Yahuwah's commandments. What's the point of putting you in the palace with a prince and allow you to rule over princes, and you don't even know the bar, you don't know the commandments, you don't know the wisdom, knowledge, or understanding. You don't even know what it's like to come from nothing to living in second in command in Mizraim. You know nothing about it. Why would you be over princes? Why would you be over Nasi or Nagid or Sar? Why would you be over princes? Much less a slave to rule over princes. It don't make no sense for a slave, a servant, to rule over a prince. Right? Verse 11 says, good sense makes one slow to anger. So if you ain't slow to anger, that means you ain't got no sense. Because you're going to be raging against Yahuwah when somebody tells you you ain't supposed to be in that position. Male or female. It says, and it is his kabod to overlook an offense, right? Because that's what is the whole point. When somebody has an offense against you, right, you got to be slow to anger, because sometimes you don't want to lose yourself. Because if you lose yourself, then Satan going to find a way into you. He'll find a way inside of your mind and your heart. He said, man, he got an offense against me. He just did this person, this male, this woman, this man, this woman just did an offense. What am I supposed to do? Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory, kabod, to overlook an offense. Why? Because you're gonna lose your kabod, your glory, if you do. If you get real angry real fast, you're gonna lose your glory, your kabod. You know how it talks about a woman's hair is her glory, right? Her kabod, right? But if she's slow to anger, she's gonna lose all her hair. If she quick to angry, she's gonna lose all her hair. He said, you ain't slow to anger. so you'll lose all your hair. He said, man's glory is his strength, but if you ain't slow to anger, you'll lose your strength. That's what happens. Right? But it says it's not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. Why? Because this is important, right? So this is the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 14 and 1. Mostly Proverbs chapter 14 and 1. Mostly Proverbs chapter 14 verse 1. It says, the wisest a woman builds her house. It said, hey, build it. How does a woman build a house? By having children and managing the house? Whole? And not being a gossip and a busybody and other things and saying things they ought not and going from house to house. Because you know what happens when a woman don't got a household to manage herself? She's going to go to other people's house and talking about stuff in other people's house and bringing sin on their house. But that's all it is. But it says a wise woman builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Right? We just read. He said folly will bring you to ruin. And he said make a man or woman's folly will bring them to ruin and make them rage against Yahuwah. When you start raging against Yahuwah, you'll tear your whole house down. Literally. With your hands and your mouth. You will literally do it. Because now you're raging against Yahuwah. And now Satan gonna be like, yeah. You see what she did, Yahuwah? He gotta have something to accuse you with. He gonna slander you. And that's what he gonna do. And as long as you keep doing it, the more he gonna be slandering. And he, every time he comes to slander every week, because every Shabbat, everybody supposed to appear before him, right? You know what he gonna do? He's just gonna keep talking about you every week. He be like, man, what is such and such problem? It's been 20 years, it's been 15 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 4 years, it's been 3 years, it's been a year, it's been the last month. Right? Verse 2 says, whosoever walks in uprightness fears Yahuwah. So if you building your house, he said you walk in uprightness. Fears Yahuwah. But he or she who is devious in his or her ways despises him. He said you despise him. It's okay if you do though. You know why it's okay to despise Yahuwah? Because he overlooks offenses. And he's slow to anger. How do we know this? It's okay for us to do that. He said, why? Because Yahuwah ain't like us. He not like human beings. Right, so this book of Exodus, Shemuth chapter 34 and verse 6. Exodus 34 and verse 6. Exodus 34 and 6. Yahuwah passed before him and proclaimed, Yahuwah, a Elohim, merciful and gracious, slow to anger. I mean, he overlook offenses, because that's his glory. He's like, man, you're not finna take away my kabod. Slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. You're in the image and likeness of Yahuwah, male and female. Keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Huh? That's why it's okay. Even though you tore your house to the ground and tore it down to nothing, because you raging against Yahuwah like, I'm slow to anger. And I'm not going to rage against you right now. You know why? Because keeping steadfast love to thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. But who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting iniquity upon the fathers, on the children's children. So you think he don't visit iniquity on the mothers either? And on their children? You think he don't visit iniquity on the mothers, on the daughters? Because as a mother is, so is a daughter. So you telling me it's just the fathers, huh? He said, don't be a fool. It's bad. He said, no, people they'll say things out of their mouth, and then they'll be like, you be hasty and you be saying things, and he said, man, but it ain't with no knowledge though. It ain't be not happening to us. And then you end up saying things and you end up committing sin with your mouth. And it says, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting iniquity of the fathers on the children to the children's children, to the third and fourth generation. Why? Because the man actually is the beginning and start of all things. He sows the seed, and then that seed that's produced is all based upon, he says, the seed that comes from him. The woman is the carrier of the DNA code analytical, cipher in the algorithm. And that algorithm is produced inside of her. And thus, whatever the health of the computer is, the computer will produce the results that you want, depending on the soil or the computer program. And guess what Moses did? And Mashah quickly bowed his head to the earth and worshiped. That's what we need to do. He did it so quick. You know how to say quick? You know how to say, don't be hasty in your speech. Don't be hasty to do things without knowledge. Once you know, you're like, man, I need to hit the ground real. Oh, come, Psalms 95. Let us bow down to Yahuwah our Maker. Right? You need to do it quick. He quickly bowed down, bowed his head to the earth and worshiped. Wow, he was in Shakah. Just like we just talked about. Why? Because Shakah, why is my soul bowed down? Because I'm of my father Satan. Because when you start hearing what Yahuwah does and what he don't do, what we don't do, then you bow your head to the ground, knowing you are the Satan. You just like in the Kosh. Because every knee gonna bow. You see the type of character Yahuwah got, and he ain't never transgressed it. So what type of behavior? He said every knee gonna bow. You gonna hit the ground when Yahuwah get back here. For all the times that you never demonstrated what we just read. You're going to hit the ground. Every knee going to bow, and every tongue going to confess that Yahusha is master to the kabod of Yahuwah, because that's Yahuwah's glory. You know why it's his glory? Because he overlooked offenses, and he's slow to anger. But we are not. And it's important to know that. And it's okay. Because he said, you despise Yahuwah. He said, you despises him, right? You despise him, right? But going back to Proverbs, going back to that Proverbs. Proverbs 14 and 1. Mostly Proverbs 14 and 1. It says, the wisest woman builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Why? Because she ain't, like I said, when you got folly, when you ain't slow to anger, forgiving sin, transgression, iniquity, when you got your own sin and you raging against Yahuwah, and through your own folly, it bring you to ruin. You bring the whole house to ruin because you in ruin. Then guess what happened? Whosoever walks in uprightness fears Yahuwah. So if you ain't walking in what we just read in Exodus, you see how quick Mashah hit the ground? Once he heard what Yahuwah was. And then once you are, not him. By the mouth of fool, guess what it says? Whosoever walks in uprightness fears Yahuwah, but he who is devious in his ways, her ways, despises him. It's okay. Because you know why? Because he ain't like us. And that's the whole reason. This is Yeshayahu 53 and 1. Yeshayahu 53 and 1. Yeshayahu 53 and 1. Who has believed what he has heard from us, he or she? And to whom the arm of Yahuwah been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, and as a root out of the dry ground. He had no majesty that we should look at him, nor in no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected. It's okay for you to despise him, because he was, all that despising you done, he bore all of your sin. He was able to endure all your despising and your ruin and your raging against Yahuwah and you destroying your house. He endured all of the words you spoke, and you didn't forgive transgression and iniquity and sin and showing steadfast love and faithfulness that Proverbs already told you before he even came on the scene, even before you even found out about him in 2025 AD, or 2023, or 2021, or 2020. He was that one that bore it. So You can despise all you want. Because he already did it. He endured it. And all that mercy in Yahushua had put him on. So when somebody endures what you do, him or her, male or female, understand who you represent. It's not based upon other people. It's based upon how you react. That's what it's about. That's why all these things rise up. That's why you will allow these things to happen. Because I want to see if you're going to do what I did. That's the whole point. Yeshayahu 52:2. For he grew up before him like a young plant and like a root out of the dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, as one of whom men and women hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. We didn't even give him no kabod. He was despised by you. And what you do? He forgives sin, transgression, iniquity, showing steadfast love, faithfulness, and you ain't hit the ground and worship yet. She said you ain't even worship yet, right? But these are all things, right? Because these are all a part of it, right? So this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. Proverbs 3:31 says, do not envy a man of violence or Qahalath. That's unjust gain, violence, damage, right? Destruction. He said, don't envy, man or woman. And do not choose any of his or her ways. You just talk about a wise woman build a house, and her folly tears it down to the ground. But you know what people do? They mimic these women. You mimic her ways. You choose her ways, right? They always try to, and people try to spin it, because this is a goddess worship world. And they always try to spin it all on the man, because you know that's what we do. That's what Yehuda and Yashua did. They put all their sin on Yahushua. And the strong are supposed to bear the infirmities of the weak, and give honor to the weaker vessel, and that is true. But the weaker vessel need to start mimicking the weaker vessels that do these things. That's the whole point. Verse 32, for the devious person is an abomination to Yahuwah. Now you see what? You need to stop mimicking these women. Because it's an abomination. And guess what? You know the abomination, they talk about, Daniel Yall talk about the abomination that makes desolation. What do you think will happen to you? You do this abomination to Yahuwah's son. We just read it. He said, you're going to be raising against Yahuwah. You're going to tear down your own house. You know why? Because Satan going to get inside of you. Because he come to steal, kill, and destroy. And he going to make you destroy everything. Because he loves you. He your own Chucky dog. That's what he is. Because he loves you. We're going to be friends to the end. Is that what he said? He loves you. And what does Chucky do? He go murder everybody. He destroy everything. He burn the house down. That's what he do. For the devious person is an abomination to Yahuwah, but the upright are in his confidence. Yahuwah said, man, I got confidence. We talk about shrinking back when he has his appearance, but we have confidence when he appears. Because you ain't a devious individual. You ain't malicious. You ain't got malice in your heart. So therefore, you're not going to shrink back in shame when he comes. You know who's going to shrink back in shame? All the people who did all them behaviors and destroyed everything, and they raging against Yahuwah and destroyed their households and destroyed everything. That's the people going to shrink in shame, because they're going to be like, man, I was gossiping and slandering, I was going about busybody, I was like Satan going up and down, male and female. It's males that do that too. They gossip more than women. They slander more than women. They talk about things and say things out of their mouth more than women do. And that's the translations of this world. He say the translations Now, these are all a part of the translations. And it says, but the upright are his confidence. Yahuwah, it says, Yahuwah's curse is on the house of the wicked. Now you see why he's going to bring you to ruin. You better not do these abominations. Matter of fact, you better not go to folly either. They're going to bring you to ruin, and you're going to be raging against Yahuwah when he come after you. Then you're going to tear down your own house. Satan going to be inside you. Then you're going to be doing other things that you should not do and saying things you ought not. And then you're going to be pursuing people to destroy them because of your own wicked life. It says, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. That's what happened. He gonna barak the dwelling of the righteous. That's both male, female, children, everybody, community, everybody inside of the home that's walking not in devious manner. But if somebody's walking in a devious manner, he's going to destroy the house. You gotta think about other people when you do things. You gotta think about the other person, other people that's around you before you do things. Because if you start doing things in haste without understanding and knowledge and understanding, then you're gonna find yourself getting other people's houses destroyed and other people's things in their life. And it's gonna be because of you. Not nobody else. You. Verse 34, toward the scorners he is scornful, right? So if you want to be mouth at, that was scornful me, you mean to mouth at. You want to mouth at Yahuwah and rage against Yahuwah, he says, I'm going to be scornful to you. I'm going to mouth at you. And he says, but to the humble he gives favor. And that's why we talk about Anua. We talk about Shafal. We're talking about this. Why? Because you want Yahuwah's favor. We want it. Right? Because it's all a part of it. Verse 34, the wise will inherit honor. That's why I said the wisest woman build her house. You want honor? Charm is deceitful and beauty is charm. How you say kindness? How you say is deceitful? Because some people be kind for it. And they can't have deceit in it. And beauty is vain. But a woman who fears Yahuwah shall be praised. Why? Because they ain't going to be walking in these behaviors. You're going to get a lot of honor. But fools get disgrace, right? That's the whole point. But the whole point is this, why? Because do not envy a man of violence, man or woman. Why? Because they got Kamas unjust gain in their heart. They're going to set you up. They're going to set you up. They're going to plot, scheme. They're going to set you up. Why? Because they got it in their heart. And being that these things are in their heart, right, it's going to destroy you, right? This is Proverbs 14:29. Proverbs 14:29. Whosoever is slow to anger has great understanding. He said, man, you got some. He said, you've increased. You know how we talk about increasing, abounding in steadfast love and essential with 1 Peter. It talks about taking on the divine nature, supernatural beings. Add to your emunah, right? You're starting to abound in the fruitful. You won't be unfruitful in knowledge of Yahushua, Mashiach. Then you say, you got great understanding. You've now made it to that level of understanding. So Yahuwah got to test you a lot. Because once you get there, then you say, I want to get there. Once you get there, then you're going to get tested a lot more. A lot of things are going to try you a lot more. You're going to get a lot more tests. And these things are going to be, the frequency of them going to get more and more and more because of your great understanding. But if you ain't got no understanding, then that ain't going to happen to you. You're just going to be, you baby. You ain't going to have it. You may have one trial that whole year. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, right? That's it. You may get one. But if you got great understanding, the more you get, you're going to get trial. I mean, you're going to get one every 2 days, every week. Right, the frequency is going to increase. That's what happens. Then you have to guard yourself even more. Then you got to guard yourself here. You got to guard yourself there. You got to guard yourself against that word. Because some specific words can trigger you. So you got like, I got to guard myself against that word, against that behavior. And you got to be so detailed in your life. It says, whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Now you see why. And you know what folly going to do? It's going to tear, bring you to ruin. But that temper you got, that anger, it's in there. And he says, but it's a tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, right? That's what happened. We just talked about healing to your soul, refreshment to your bones. It'd be healing to your flesh. If you don't lean to your own understanding. Because that's the tranquil heart. To not lean to your own understanding, that is tranquility. But envy makes the bones rot. Because that's what happens when you get envious. You rot everything around you. It do. It rottens everything. It rottens anything that Yahuwah does for you. It rots and it ruins everything. It destroys. It's very devilish. And Satan envies the 12 tribes of Yasharal. I don't know, people say, no, yes, he does. You're written in the actual Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. Why would he not? You're written on the 12 gates of New Jerusalem. He doesn't envy the 12. Shalosh, Matah, you're a fool. Why do you think people join in with him? He does. He hates you. There you go. He hates you. He don't like you. He don't. People say, yeah, he do. No, he don't. No, he don't. Verse 31. Whosoever oppresses the poor man insults his maker. Right. That's what he do. Don't he do it? Look at all around. Look in the world. That's all he does. Billions, trillions, quintillions, sextillion, Googleplex money, and they still oppress the poor. That's what he do. That's how he operate. He don't care. And guess what he do? And he says, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. There you go. That's all you gotta do. That's how you counteract his world. That's how you counteract people around. You just keep being generous. Be so generous to where it destroys the whole construct. That's why if all the people were just generous, it'll destroy all this oppression that you got around you. It literally, if everybody was generous, kindness, compassionate, loving, and it'll destroy the whole thing. Then you're gonna have Satan telling you need to be compassionate and kind. That's all deceit, because kindness is deceitful now. It can't be. You need to love the children. Now you're not Satan telling you. You need to stop killing each other. And then when Satan tells you something, you already know he's trying to control you even more, because his righteousness is only for a moment. Because when you say the right to bar, then he's gonna rise up and he's gonna say, okay, you deceitful serpent, I know you trying to transform yourself into a molecule of light. And that's how you know. And people would just be flowing to it, and they don't even understand it. The wicked is overthrown through his evil doing, but the righteous finds refuge in his death. Why? Because the wages of sin is death. But he said envies make bone rot. Because every time we do these things, it becomes like our kryptonite. It's like our kryptonite. It is. It's like our kryptonite. It really weakens us. It weakens bones. It weakens us. The bone density when you get older, you know how they say, the bone density when you get older, it shrinks. Because all that envy you got in your heart, and you ain't renewing your mind by the bar, it be healing to your shore, refreshment to your bones. Because you got all that envy and jealousy in your heart, that's why your bones shrink. They say when you're cold, you're cold in his latter day, his calf was like a giant. They say Moshe's countenance didn't even abate when he was old, when he got older. They say Caleb you allow him to keep his strength in his old age. Sarah was 77 years old, and she was the most beautiful woman in all Mizraim. You know why? Because of their character. But you know what people say? That's impossible. No, it's impossible. It's because of the things you got on your inward man. You ain't renewing your mind. So who are you? It's because of your mind, and you don't renew by the bar. That's why. That's why. And this is all the mindset change. We're all going to see dust, but I'm just showing you, I'm trying to tell you, right? And it says, then I saw that all the toil, all skill and work came from, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 4. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse, Qahalath 4 and 4. Then I saw that all toil and all skill and work come from a man's envy of his neighbor. That's the only reason people doing it today. He got a bigger house than me. I'm going to work harder to get a bigger one than he. He got a car. He got a nice car. I'm going to work harder to get. Man, his whole field is full of. He got 100,000 radishes. Matter of fact, he had a whole field. He had 2 fields of watermelon and radishes and carrots. I'm going to try to sow and get 1,000 fields, right? That's the only reason people doing it. He can teach for 5 hours. I'm going to teach for 17 hours straight. He made an album with 24 songs. I'm going to make one with 45. That's the only reason people doing stuff. He got 1 million subscribers. I'm going to get 5 million. He got 30 subscribers and 30 likes. I'm going to get 50. Because I just want to be better than him. I'm jealous and envious. That's all it is. And guess what? This also is vanity. It's all vanity. And we talk about taking Yahuwah's name in vain. I sent it out, but you know why it's taking his name in vain. You can take his name in vain. He said by just having vanity in your heart and using his name. You took his name in vain. That's why Anua, Shafal is so important. Mashar quickly hit the ground. He said he was the most meekest man on earth. And he knew, right? It says, then I saw that all toil and skill and work come from a man's envy of his neighbor. This also is vanity and striving against the wind. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh. He said, you just bring yourself to ruin. You literally bring yourself to a wasting disease by doing this. You literally eat your own flesh because you envy your neighbor, so you gonna be trying to outdo him, and you gonna literally eat your own flesh by doing it, because it's all you. It ain't got nothing to do with your neighbor. It's all you. And you know what Satan do? He used that to get in. He be like, yeah. And then Satan get in. That's how Satan all get in. He get into our heart and our mind. And he do it. He say, how you know he do that? Because that's what he does. Because every time we do this, it destroys our flesh. It does. Right, this is the book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 31. The book of Sirach, chapter 31, and verse 1. The book of Sirach, chapter 31, and verse 1. The book of Sirach, chapter 31, verse 1. Watching for riches consumes the flesh. Man, you just eat your own flesh. That's all you do. You be eating your own flesh. Give us flesh to eat. You know how they talk about in the wilderness? Give us flesh to eat. Yahuwah said, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. And you're going to eat yourself. You're going to consume yourself. I'm seeing a wasting disease. The watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. He said, that's why you can't sleep. He said, that's all you care about. Because you lean into your own understanding. And you know what happens after that? Your sleep ain't sweet no more. You take away your sleep. That's what this world does. That's what it does. Verse 2, watching care will not let the man slumber, man or woman slumber. as a sore disease breaketh sleep. Man, it's breaking your sleep. It's like a disease in your body. It is. The rich hath great labor in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicacies. Right? You so full. The poor laboreth in his own estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. And guess what it says? Gold has been the ruin of many. How you say, what brings you to ruin? Folly. Folly brings a man to ruin, make him rage against Yahuwah. It do. It make you rage against you. And destruction, it says, and their destruction was present. Man, you gonna see. Present, you know how you go to elementary school, and like, are you here? Present, you say. It's here. It is a stumbling block. There it is. It's a stumbling block. It's a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it. And every fool shall be taken therewith. He say, every fool. That's how you know. A wise woman builds her house, but folly, her own hands, tears it down to the ground. Fool. Barak is the rich that is found without blemish. That's the whole point. If you ain't got no blemish, then you Barak, and you rich. And have not gone after gold. He's like, man, you ain't got that stuff in your head. He's like, man. That's why who should say, seek ye first the Malkut. Because if you don't, you're gonna come to ruin. You be folly. He says, who is he? And we will call him Barak. He's like, man, who is this person? Because we already know why all these things. He's like, who is this person? We will call him Barak, for wonderful things have been done among his people. But why we went there, right? Going back to the book of Ecclesiastes, Qahalath. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 7. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 5. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh. Man, it's just like you consuming your own flesh. Better is a handful of quietness. Oh, there it is. He said, I'd rather have a handful of quietness, right? Yard and car full of quietness. You know what I'm saying? A yard and a car full of quietness. Then 2 hands full of toil and striving after the wind, and 2 hands trying to do things that I envy my neighbor. I'd rather have my hands full of quietness than trying to go and trying to prove my neighbor that I'm better than him through my envy and jealousy because of all the stuff I want to do to destroy him. That's better. Again, I saw vanity under the sun. One person who has no other either son nor brother. Yet there is no end to his toil, and his eyes are never satisfied with riches, so that he never asks, from whom am I toiling? He said, man, you ain't got, what you doing all this stuff for? You ain't got no son, no daughter, you ain't got no woman, because you know you need a woman. When a woman got, your man go after all these things, he gonna do it for a woman. But if you ain't got that, what you doing it for? And his eyes are never satisfied with riches, so that he never asks, from whom am I toiling and depriving myself of pleasure? He said, what am I doing this for? You ain't even thinking about it. He's like, you know what he says? This also is vanity and an unhappy business. But he said, there ain't nothing wrong. He said, you doing all this stuff. You ain't got no son, no brother, no daughter. You ain't got nothing. And then you doing all this stuff. And he said, man, that's a miserable life. He said, labor all this knowledge and wisdom and understanding and can't give it to nobody. That makes no sense. You're literally, it's an unhappy business. That's a miserable life. You're supposed to give it away. Verse 9 says, 2 are better than 1, right? Because You know what you say? I'm going to go against the superhuman adversary by myself. That makes no sense. Because they have a good reward for their toil. Because I can give it to somebody else. There's no point in me getting all this stuff and not being able to give it to somebody else. Because it makes no sense. It'd be all just wasting my time. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. Because I have something to give to you and you have something to give to me. Right? If something happens to me, if something happens, or if I do something that causes things to happen to my life, then guess what? The other person is required to help the other person because they are together. But then you know what they say? Nah. But guess what it says? But woe unto him who is alone, when he falls and has not another to lift him up. He said, ain't got nobody to lift me up. Why is this important? He said, man, woe unto him. Right? And this is the whole point. I'm going to show you something. This is Yuchanan chapter 5 and verse 1. John chapter 5 verse 1. John chapter 5 and verse 1. After this, there was a feast of the Yahudim. There was a Qahalath, Muad. You know, we in the feast Muad time. And Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. He went to Jerusalem. We ain't got Jerusalem. Right? Everybody got a whole bunch of Jerusalem. He said it was only one Jerusalem. When everything was a cod and they had one place. Oh yeah, Yahushua came. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, in Aramaic called Bastata, which had 5 roofed colonnades. And these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. So all the paralyzed and blind, lame people were chilling under these place of roof colonnades. That's where they be at. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years, but he was in prison for 38 years. Like we talk about Satan and Yahuwah, you in Satan, you in prison. He was bound. And when Yahushua saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said, "Do you want to be healed?" He's like, "You've been there a long time." The sick man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up." He said, "Woe unto him who was alone, for he ain't got nobody to lift him up when he falls." And he says, "And while I am going, another steps down before me. Woe unto him who is alone, for he had no one to lift him up when he falls." Everybody keep going in. Matter of fact, he could have envied. Because, you know, people only do things because they envy their neighbor. He could have envied. He could have got jealous. He could have got upset. But guess what? Yahushua said to him, "Get up and take up your bed and walk." He said, "Woe unto him was alone." He said, "You won't have nobody to lift you up when you fall." Guess what Yahushua did? He just lifted him up. Because he saw he was alone. Nobody would help him. And at once the man was healed. And he took up his bed and walked. And guess what? Going back to Ecclesiastes, Qahalath chapter, what was that, 4? Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 9. Qahalath, Ecclesiastes 4 and 9. How come, and you start looking at what Yahushua did. Did he get angry at the other people? Why you ain't helping? Why you ain't get him up? Why you ain't bring him to the pool? What y'all doing around here? Right? Because you got to be slow to anger. You have great understanding. You have great understanding. You know what he said? Verse 9, 4 and 9. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone, who falls, and has not another to lift him up. Not another to lift him up. Again, if two are alive together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? How you gonna do that? How you gonna keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, you know how people, that's when they're gonna come. That's what Cain did to Abel. He prevailed against him and killed his brother when he was alone. There was nobody around. They gonna win. But guess what? Although a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. So you say, that's why you don't want to go against a superhuman adversary by yourself. Because that's what Cain was to Aydah. You can withstand him with two people. How do you know this? And threefold cord is not quickly broken. He said, man, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. He's like, man, you can't break this. You get three? Oh, boy, look at here. Let's get it. Right? You know how they say? You ain't going to do nothing. One person gets three. Of us? People have no idea, right? This is the book of this is the book of Deuteronomy. Actually, yeah, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 32, Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 28. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 28. Actually, go Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 1 first. Let's go. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 1. It says, give ear, O Shamayims, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. Let the Shamayims in the earth hear the words of my mouth. Because the earth is alive. It's a living being. The Shamayims, the clouds, and all these things are living. Everything's alive. They can hear. Yeah, they can shema. You know what it says? May my teaching drop down as the rain. It's alive. Rain is alive, boy. And guess what? My teaching distill as the dew. Let the gentle rain upon the tender grass, like the gentle rain upon the tender grass, and like the showers upon the earth. For I will proclaim the name of Yahuwah, and ascribe the greatness of our Elohim. He said, why are you going to do that? Going to verse 26. He says, I would have said, I will cut them to pieces. I will wipe them from the human memory. Had I not feared provocation by the enemy, lest their adversaries should misunderstand. He's like, I don't want to cause other people to misunderstand who I am. Lest they should say, our hand is triumphed. It is not Yahuwah who did all of this. Why? Because when you start to do things on your own, when Yahuwah sent other people, he don't want nobody to think that it was them or you. Verse 28, for they are a nation void of counsel, and there is no understanding in them. Right? If they were wise, they will understand this. They will discern their latter end. How could one have chased 1,000? Because these two are better than one. How are you going to go against a superhuman adversary by yourself? Huh? How could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight? Huh? Unless their rock had sold them, and Yahuwah had given them up. He said, why is this important? Because before, when you were alone, Yahushua ain't died yet. There's no way in the world you was even going to do anything. Right? That's why you think man was overcome for so long. Right? This is the book of Joshua, chapter 23, Yahushua, chapter 23, and verse 1. Joshua, chapter 23, verse 1. A long time afterward, when Yahuwah had given rest to Yasharal from all their surrounding enemies, right? Isn't that what we're going to now? Guess what he did? And Yahushua was old and well advanced in years. Yahushua summoned all Yasharal, its elders, its heads, and the judges and officers, and said to them, I am now old and well advanced in years, and you have seen all that Yahuwah has done to all the nations for your sake. For it is Yahuwah, your Elohim, who has fought for you. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Behold, I have allotted to you as an inheritance for your tribes those nations that remain, along with all nations that I have already cut off, from Yarden to the great sea of the west, right? Going to verse 8. But you shall cling to Yahuwah your Elohim as you have done this day. For Yahuwah has driven out before you great and strong nations. And as for you, no man has been able to stand before you to this day. He's like, nobody can do it. But guess what? One man of you put to flight 1,000. One. But guess what it says? Since it is Yahuwah, your Elohim, who fights for you, that's the only way you're going to do it. Because you ain't going to be able to do it alone. You ain't going to be able to do this alone. Just as he promised you. Huh? They don't even think about the promise anymore. You don't believe the promise. He said, do you believe the promise? Because Yahuwah said you got to walk in a certain way. You got to walk in Aydah, Anah, Shafal. You got to walk in these type of behaviors in order for this to happen for you. Because Yahuwah has a certain character that he dwells among. If you ain't got it, then this ain't gonna happen for you. There's a certain mindset you gotta walk in. We read in the book of Exodus when Messiah hit the ground real fast. Be very careful, therefore, to love Yahuwah, your Elohim, huh? Yeah, be very careful. Be real careful. For if you turn back and cling to the remnant of these nations remaining among you, you know what happens when you cling to them? You still hold on to them. It doesn't matter who they are. They don't do what Yahuwah says. They don't keep the commandments. They don't walk in truth. They could care less about the promise. Matter of fact, they mock you when you ain't even know. And you still hold to them. You cling to them. And you trust them. And you know what happens? Be very careful, therefore, to love Yahuwah, your Elohim. For if you turn back and cling to the remnant of these nations remaining among you, and make marriages with them, that means you join in covenant, marriages and agreement. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. You make marriages with them. I ain't talking about a marriage. We talking about just intercourse, just talking, or even interacting in a way as if they have the promise and they don't. Because you're making them feel as if they're okay. Because when people feel like they're okay, what's the point in needing Yahushua? What's the point in needing Yahuwah? What's the point of me obeying him? If you making everybody feel like they're okay. So that you associate with them and they with you. Why are you associating with them? You're not going to change nobody if you do that. I promise you that. And guess what? That's the promise. He said, man, I promise you that. You ain't going to change them. This association will create a desire. I promise you that. It says, so that you associate with them and they with you, know for certain that Yahuwah, your Elohim, will no longer drive out these nations before you. Then you're going to cause all these things. You're going to cause losses in your life. But they shall be a snare. There we go. A stumbling block. They're going to be a snare and a trap for you. That's what they are. They're just traps. These are all traps of Satan. Once he gets you entangled, how long it take you to get out of a net trap? A ditch trap. You ever seen an animal get trapped? How long it take to get out of there? If nobody come help you when you fall, woe unto you who doesn't have nobody when you fall into a ditch. Even Yusuf was in the ditch for a while, and then the people came and bought him. But his brothers didn't know. His brothers didn't know. Let alone a sister. Yeah, right. Scarcely. Like they said. But they shall be a snare to you and a trap for you and a whip on your sides and thorns in your eyes. Now you're going to blind. You're going to lose your ayin, your ainu, your anu are going to be gone. Matter of fact, it's going to be what? A whip on your side. You're going to be getting beat. You're going to be like, you're going to have a whip on your side. You're going to be like the slave master. And then your eyes going to be blind. And they said, until you perish from off the good ground. And he said, until you die. Because once they get you, then you're going to be the oppressor. You're going to be just like them. The Philistines is upon you, Shamshun. That's what you're going to be. You're going to turn into it. It says, Yahuwah your Elohim, guess what it says? You will perish out the good ground that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. Why? Because that's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of it, right? That's the whole point. And people say, no, it ain't. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Right? Yes, it is. Right? It's the book of Judges, chapter 16. Verse 1. It says, and Shamshun went to Aydah, and there he saw a prostitute, and he went into her snare. The Gazites were told, Shamshun has come here. Right? It could be a woman. Woman go meet a man at a hotel. Snare. Meet you at the location. And you married. Or you not married, it's just for fornication. Snare. The Gazites were told Shamshun has come here. And then they're going to start talking about you because everybody see you. Because they know who you are. You're the children of light. Ain't you supposed to be the child of light? Full of the Ruach Qahalath with all the garments on, the head wraps and all these things that you got on and all the things you wear and everything. You think people ain't looking at you? They looking at you. They watching you. Same thing with Yitzhak. They were watching him too. They watching you. Shamshun has come here. And they surrounded the place and set an ambush for him all night at the gate of the city. They said, man, they got you. And they kept quiet all that night. Saying. Oh, you know what happens when you get in these snares? Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 1. Ezekiel, this is going to happen to you when you start go back to your old life. Let me show you what's going to happen to you. Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 1. Yakaziel chapter 18 and verse 1. The word of Yahuwah came to me. What do you mean by repeating this proverb concerning the land of Yasharah? Why do you think Yahuwah repeats things to people? I'm going to repeat things to a woman again. I'm going to repeat things to a man again. Over and over and over again. Why? Because it's important. That's why he wrote on the ground twice. He without sin, because the first time. It's important. Because he said the commandment is a lamp and the teaching is light. Or. Because they hate the light. Because the or is going to tell you what you need to do. It says, repeating this proverb concerning Yasharal, the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. All your children, they saying things out of their mouth they shouldn't be saying. They devouring their own flesh. You know how we just talked about? Man, you eat your own flesh. You devour, you like the cankerworm and the palmer worm. You eat your own flesh. You envy your neighbor. That's the only reason you do what you do. As I live, declares Yahuwah, this proverb shall no more be used by you in Yasharal. Behold, all souls are mine. Oh, so please hope in Yahuwah. The soul of the father as well as the soul of the son is mine. You think the soul of the mother and the daughter ain't his either? The soul who sins shall die. That's why you don't want to hold to your old life. Because the wages of sin is death. Verse 5, if a man or woman is righteous and does what is just and right, if he or she does not eat upon the mountains or lift up his or her eyes to the idols of the house of Yasharal, does not defile his neighbor's wife or sleep around and fornicate and everything else that people try to omit, and they try to say, it doesn't say that in that verse. So therefore, it's not talking about me. You know how they say. That's what people do. They're always looking for a reason to commit sin. Because you know, idle mind is the devil's playground. And it says, does not defile his neighbor's wife or approach a woman in her menstrual, in the time in her menstrual impurity, because that's what people do. People do that today. And women put it in men's food as a spell, which is sick, to try to control them. It's sick. They do this today. Okay, you don't believe me? There are some men out here that are witnesses and have been a part of this stuff, and they know what I'm talking about. Verse 7, does not oppress anyone. Right? So we talk about being a whip. You're going to have the whip on your side, and you're going to be the oppressor. We just talked about that. You're going to be the oppressor. It says, but restores, you know, it says, does not oppress anyone, but restores the debt to his pledge, commits no robbery, gives his bread to the hungry, and covers the naked with their garment, does not lend at interest or takes profit, withholds his hand from injustice, that's mishpat, proper judgment, execute true justice between man and man. You think it's just man and man? Woman and woman. Same thing when it came to Shalom, when he judged between those two women that had a child, and one was a harlot, and they killed the baby. She took her baby and put it in her home. Don't be a fool. Hey, they don't mess this Torah up so much to where you just don't be a fool when you read the Torah. You're gonna be willingly ignorant. Walks in my statutes and keeps my rules by acting faithfully, because you know that's all a part of it. Faithfulness and love. He is righteous, he or she. You righteous man. You a righteous woman. I promise you, a righteous man. He shall surely live. I mean, you will always live. Declares Yahuwah Elohim. If he fathers a son who is violent and shedder of blood, who does any of these, though he himself does none of these things, who even eats upon the mountains, defiles his neighbor's wife, oppresses the poor and the needy, commits robbery, does not restore the pledge, lifts up his eyes to idols, commits abominations, lends at interest, takes profit, shall he then live? He shall not live. He has done all these abominations. You know what we just talked about? A wise woman build a house, but a fool tears it down to the ground. He said, a man or woman's folly bring him to ruin. Make him destroy, make him rage against Yahuwah. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon himself. That's why you don't want to go back to your old life. Because if you go back to your old life, what happens? You die. And that's the whole point. And this is what happened to him. Judges chapter 16 and verse 2. But Shamshun lay till midnight, and at midnight he arose and took the hold of the doors and the gate of the city and the 2 posts and pulled them up, bar and all, and put them on his shoulder. That's why Yahushua, the government, gonna be upon his shoulder. Why do you think Yahushua was in between 2 thieves and he darkened and cleared in midnight? Because it's all before the abominations that we do when we righteous, and we're supposed to be righteous, supposed to be pure and full of righteousness. But then you do all these things that go opposite of what Yahuwah says, and therefore it's okay because Yahushua died for your sin. He already did it. He did it. All your plots, your schemes, your future plot, the plots and schemes you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, the plots and schemes you're getting ready to do in the future, he already died. Even after you done got immersed in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, he died for your sin. But expect judgment on your life when you do it. But you can still be saved. But expect judgment on your life. Because if you sin willfully after you receive the knowledge of the truth, there remain no sacrifice for sins, but the expectation of judgment. You're going to get judgment, but you can still be saved. But that's just a part of it. And it says, and he put them on his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that is in front of Hebron. After this, he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. She was a darkness, right? He loved that woman, Delilah. Just like you love that man, a woman love that man, but he ain't nothing but darkness. You married and you married, and then you go fornicate with your teacher, your moral, your pastor, your teacher. And you be like, yeah, you know, I'm good. I'm good. And then everybody cover it up. I'm good. No, you're not. And it says, after that, he loved a woman in Sorek whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, oh, here we go. Because you know what happens when you love money? Watching the riches makes your what? Make your flesh rot. It literally consumes you. They said to her, what? Seduce him and see where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him. We need to know. We need to know all his secrets. We need to know everything about him. We need to know what's his strengths and weaknesses. We need to know how he thinks. We need to know where all that stuff comes from. We need you to spy out his life. And you know who that is coming to her? Satan. Because they want to know how we can bind him and make him weak, and we can destroy him and kill him. That's Satan. And you know, notice what you don't see. You don't see Satan casting out Satan. And his kingdom ain't divided because they all communicating with each other. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, seduce him and see where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we might bind him and to humble him. And that's what people do today. We need to find out what he do and how he is so we can humble him. Because once they humble you, they take your strength. Then you ain't got no strength anymore. And let's see what happens. And we will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. Because envy makes bones rot, make you weak. Because you know, envy makes the bones rot. Because they envy him, the Philistines, and then they get the woman and they say, we pay you 1,100 silver. Because we envy him, if you set him up, then we'll give you money because we envy him. So you ain't necessarily got to envy nobody. But even though he loved him. So Delilah said to Shamshun, please tell me where your great strength lies. Because that's all they're going to do. Keep asking you questions. And how you might be bound. That's what Satan's trying to do. He's trying to bring you to prison. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to bring you to prison in your mind. Because that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the whole thing. trying to bring you to prison in your mind. He's trying to do some things to you, right? That one could be seduced. And Shamshun said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, why he used 7? Because we got 7 more out of 7 feet. Matter of fact, Sukkah is 7 days. And then what happens after that? Then I shall become weak and be like any other man. And if you lose that, if you allow either one of those days for you to be bound by Satan, at least one of those days, then you'll be weak and you become like everybody else. You'll be just like everybody else. You'll be just like the Goyim nations. As a matter of fact, you'll be the person cracking the whip. And you'll be the oppressor for those 7 days. Because Satan inside of you. That's going to be you. Has that ever happened to you before? Then the master of the Philistines sought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings that they may be been dried, and she bound him with them. Now she had men lying in ambush in the inner chamber, right? Plots and schemes. You be plotting and scheming. This would be you. You be plotting and scheming, and you be setting people up. And you think you're darkness? You think you're light? Or you think you're the light of the world? You think you're the children of light? You're a child of Or. And it says, and he said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Shamshun, and you'll be using words of deceit with your plotting and your scheming. So that double sin. That's like 5 charges against you right now. And even though Shamshun, he said, man, Shamshun slept with a whore. You know how many people have slept with a whore, even after believing in Yahushua Mashiach? But then you can say, oh, yeah, Delilah was this person. Yeah, he without sin cast the first stone. Because nobody got no sin. Everybody got sin right here. So who are you to judge your neighbor? Who are you? The Philistines are upon you, Shamshun. Be not, but he snapped the bowstring and the thread and the flax and snapped when it touches the fire, as when it touches the fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. Oh, there we go. You know what Satan specializes in. We talked about it. Discovering your secrets, because he want to accuse you night and day. He accusing you night and day. Remember at night he went into a whore and they came and said, yeah, what he doing in here? He accused you night and day. This is all taking place at night. Your accuser. So even when you with Delilah and the Philistines, y'all like Delilah, and you children of light, and you masquerading as children of light, and you like Delilah and the Philistine, or you just like Shamshun. Your accuser is watching you. He's looking at everything you do. Yahuwah is watching you. It says, then Delilah said to Shamshun, behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. You told lies. So you ever told a lie, and then you're trying to accuse somebody else of telling you a lie? After you a liar too? So you a liar, and then you're going to tell somebody else. You plotting and scheming, and you a liar. And then you're going to tell somebody else they a liar. Who are you? That's the sad part. That's what people do today. In the body of Mashiach, how you say, knowing Yahushua Mashiach, 2025 AD. Please tell me how you might be bound. And he said to her, if they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I shall be weak and be like any other man. So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them, and said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Shamshun. So here goes Shamshun lying. He just lying. He lying too. Everybody lying. Ain't nothing gonna come good out of this. on the great day of judgment. Everybody lying. Shamshun lying, Delilah lying, everybody lying. Ain't nothing gonna come good out of it. Shamshun already know he can break the rules. The Philistines are upon you, and the men lying in ambush were in the inner chamber. And guess what? That's what Satan be at, inside of you. Lying in wait, waiting. That's where he be at, in your inner chamber. You know, the innermost parts of yourself. And get what it says. But he snapped the ropes of his arms like a thread. He's like, man, Satan ain't gonna bound me. But get what he said. Then Delilah said to Shamshun, until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you might be bound. And he said to her, if you weave my 7 locks of my head with the web and fasten it tight with the pin, then I shall be weak and be like any other man. So while he slept, Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove them into the web. How you think men and women get bound today in their mind? They can't even function without the web. They don't even untangle their hair anymore. He said they don't even attend to their body. They so focused on that screen, they don't even know what to do. And she made them tight with the pin and said to them, if the Philistines are upon you, Shamshun, they're going to words trying to make you fear. And these are all a part of it. That's how you know you're Delilah. You can be male and female. He said, but he awoke from his sleep and pulled away the pin and the loom and the web. He said he just like the sun rising out of his chamber. Ain't no way you can keep me down. But get what he said. And he said to him, and she said to him, how can you say I love you? There we go. You say you love me. And he did. But they both liars. They both liars. They both are full of sin. And he said, I love you. They both full of sin. When your heart is not with me, he said, your heart ain't with me. And he says, you have mocked me these 3 times. He said, you mocked me 3 times. He said, you did it 3 times. You lied to me 3 times. That's literally what she just said. But she a liar too. And you have not told me where your great strength lies. And when she pressed him hard with her words, day after day, you know what Satan do? He accused you night and day. You know what she doing right here? She accusing you night and day. It's the same thing he do. You liar, you mocked me. You liar, you liar, you mocked me. You mocked me. You liar, you liar, you liar. Not even knowing that she was a liar too. She had Satan on the inside of her too. And he urged him, and his soul was vexed to death, because the wages of sin is death. Because you are your father's Satan. Because the wages of sin is death. And he told her all his heart and said to her, now he's like, man, she done accused me, say I'm a liar, man. She done convicted me, not even knowing she full of sin. Because people can actually be righteous and still be a liar, but then try to get the truth out of you in order to take you down. And use their very truth against you. He already lied to me about 3 times. That truth don't mean nothing. Because I'm just trying to get this money. And no razor has come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to the Elohim from my mother's womb. He said, from my mother's womb. And that's the truth. He finally told the truth about his life. As I told you, when you have association with people and you make them feel real comfortable around you because you ain't standing for the truth. You have association with them and you don't actually make them feel uncomfortable about their life. If my head is shaved, then my strength will leave me. And I shall be weak and be like any other man. Now you finally told him to the bar after all them lies you done told him. And all the stuff you done did. And she a liar too. And she will love money. It's all vanity and chasing after the wind. Every single thing they're doing. Everything they're doing is just chasing after the wind. It's all vanity. And you take Yahuwah's name in vain. Isn't it what everybody doing right here? Yehudi, Greek, barbarian, Stygian, free, all y'all take Yahuwah's name in vain. Gentile, Goim, Yehudi, all y'all take Yahuwah's name in vain. When Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, come again, for he has told me all his heart. That's the whole point. This is the Testament of Simeon. Testament of Simeon. Testament of Shamuan. Testament of Shamuan. Chapter 1. I think it is. Testament of Simeon, chapter 1 and verse 10. Testament of Simeon, chapter 1 and verse 10. Actually, go to verse, verse 10. Actually, verse 10. For when I was in Shechem to bring ointment for the flocks, and Rauban and Dothan, where were our necessaries and all our stores, Yehuda, my brother, sold him to the Ishmaelites. And when Rauban heard these things, he was grieved, for he wished to restore him to his father. But on hearing this, I was exceedingly wroth with Yehuda, in that he let him go away alive, and for 5 months I continued wrathful against him. And what happens? Satan got a short time. He is full of wrath, and he know his time is short. Matter of fact, he said, I was wrathful before him. He said, you raging against Yahuwah, ain't you? But Yahuwah restrained me and withheld from me the power of my hands. Right? That's what happened. That's how you know. If Yahuwah don't restrain you, you're going to go all in. And being all that wrath, you're going to be like Satan, steal, kill, and destroy. If Yahuwah don't stop you, he said, withheld me the power of my hands. Because a wise woman builds her house, but a fool with her hands tears it down and brings it to ruin. If Yahuwah don't stop you. For my right hand was half withered for 7 days. That's the only way. Some people are going to need their right hand withered for 7 days of Sukkah. In order for you to stop you from doing things you should not do. And that's a barak. So Yahuwah will stop you. Because a lot of people don't understand what they be doing. They don't. They be thinking it's cool. It's okay to be wrathful, to getting ready to, and you want to do these things. It's not. And I knew, my children, that because of Yusuf, this had been following me. Now, you gonna know. That's the only way he got to stop you. And I repented and wept. That's the only way Yahuwah gonna bring you the tears. That your bread gonna be your food, your dust gonna be your lakam, and your tears gonna be your drink. That's the only way. And I besought Yahuwah Elohim that my hand might be restored. He said he put a distraction in your face. See what I just did to your body, your natural man? It'll be healing to your shore, refreshment to your bones if you don't lean to your own understanding. Male and female. And I besought Yahuwah Elohim that my hand might be restored and that I might hold aloof from all pollution and envy and from all folly. Because he's going to bring you the ruin. Because if you don't, if Yahuwah don't stop you, you have no idea. If Yahuwah doesn't stop you, do you know you're a candidate for the lake of fire? Verse 15, for I knew that I had devised an evil thing before Yahuwah. People have no idea. And Yaakov, my father, on account of Yusuf, my brother, in that I envied him. Envy rots bones. Envy destroy you. Envy will kill you. But there's a reason why Yahushua came on the scene. And just like everything happens for a reason. He said, why? We're almost finished. It says, from all folly, for I knew that I had devised an evil thing before Yahuwah Elohim and my father and Yaakov my father on the account of Yusuf my brother, in that I envied him. And now, my children, hearken to me, and beware of the spirit, the ruach of deceit and envy. Kinah. Beware of the ruach of deceit and envy. Why he said that? Because it's important. Because if you ain't, it's going to destroy you. Right? It's going to destroy you, right? So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 32 and verse 1. Psalms, Tahalim 32 and 1. Blessed is the one whose transgressions is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Barak is the man whom Yahuwah counts no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. So this deceit can dwell in your inward man as a nagging injury and cause injury to your body. It can. And it can stay in your body. And it won't be healing, nothing be healing to your shore and refreshment to your bone. It'll stay inside of your marrow, your bones, and your joints, in your inner man. Right? That word for deceit is ramiyah. It means treachery, slothful, deceit, guile. He said, slothful, right? So that's all a part of it. Verse, going back to Testament of Simeon, chapter 1, verse 17. For envy ruleth the whole mind of a man or woman. So it's going to rule your whole mind. Your 12 cranial nerves and your 12 melanin centers. It's going to rule your left and your right brain. It's going to rule your whole consciousness. Your yetsu, your imagination, your makashaba. It's going to take over your whole thought process. Because, envy, what do people do that for? They toil in the neighbor because they envy their neighbor. That's all you're going to be doing. They're going to take over your whole mind. That's all you want to do. And serveth him neither to eat nor drink. We getting ready to go fast on kafar. But some people got envy and jealousy in their heart. And they thinking that their fast is going to be a pure fast. And they're going to go fasting. And they're thinking that fast is actually kafar. But it's actually because of your envy and jealousy that you're going to perform during sukkah. Has nothing to do with Yahuwah. And it says right here, and look what it says, and suffers him not to eat or drink, nor to do any good thing. But it ever suggesteth to him to destroy him whom he envied. That's all it's about. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to do this more. He envy your neighbor. You're going to try to do more than him. You're going to be toiling after the wind. I'm going to be better than him. Because all you want to do is steal, kill, and destroy. You just like Satan. Because he hates you. Amazing, you take on the behaviors of Satan, but Satan hates you. He hates you. Why? Because he takes over your mind and he allows you to continue in it because he hates you. Person of the truth ain't gonna let you do it. Yahushua not gonna let you keep doing it. But Satan gonna keep telling you to do it. Get what it says. Nor do anything else, but is ever suggesting to him or her to destroy him or her that he or she envy. And so long as he that envieth flourishes, he that envieth fadeth away. He said, man, you got wasting these. You eat your own flesh. What you talking about in Qahalath? You eat your own flesh. You just eating your own self. You doing that. You destroying you. You can keep fading away. 2 years, therefore, I afflicted my soul with fasting in the fear of Yahuwah and learnt that deliverance from envy coming from the fear of Elohim. It took 2 years in prison. 2 years in prison. And you want to be in prison. No wonder people ain't got no joy in Simcha. No wonder people ain't got no love and compassion. No wonder. He said you in prison with envy and jealousy. No wonder. 2 years. That's 2 years wasted. 2 years wasted. Because of your own self. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. 2 years. For if a man flee to Yahuwah, the evil spirit runneth, man or woman, flee to Yahuwah, the evil spirit runneth away from him, and his mind is lightened, which means you had a weight in your mind. It lighted from him, and henceforth he sympathizes with him whom he envied, he or she envied, and forgiveth those who are hostile to him. Because you done created some hostility between other people because you got envy and jealousy in your heart. Satan have ran through a whole bunch of people because of you and used your body, and you upset a whole bunch of people, and you went through a whole bunch of people's mind with your envy and your jealousy, and you went and you brought other people in it, and you try to put other people in prison with your mind. So ceases from his envy. He said that's the only way you're going to stop. You got to confess what you did. People say, why? Because that's a part of it. Because if you don't get rid of it, it's important you need to get rid of it. Right? This is the book of Hebrews chapter. This is the book of Hebrews. This is the book of Hebrews chapter 11, I think it is. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Actually, go to Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. Go to Hebrews chapter 10. Let's start there. Then we go to the other thing. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. And it says, for since the law has but a shadow of good things to come, instead of the true form of these realities, it can never, by the same sacrifices that are continually offered every year, make perfect those who draw near. That's what we're going to kafar. That stuff can't make you true. Otherwise, would they have not ceased to be offered, since the worshippers, having once been cleansed, would no longer have any conscience of sin. He said you won't even think about it anymore. But in these sacrifices, there is a reminder of sins every year. And he was flicking for 2 years with that. For it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats and sin offerings to take away sin. Consequently, when Mashiach came into the world, he said, sacrifice and offerings you have not desired, but a body you prepared me. In burnt offerings and sin offerings, you have not taken no pleasure. He don't take pleasure in none of this stuff. Then I said, behold, I come in to do your will, O Elohim, as it is written of me in the scroll of the book. He said, it is written of me. Right, so this is the book of Ecclesiastes, or actually Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great cloud of witnesses, Abrakub Kanafallah, you know, the cloud that took up Hanu, the cloud that, the whirlwind, the cloud that took up Al Yahu, the cloud that took up Yahushua Mashiach. I start watching y'all. Therefore, we are surrounded. Since we are surrounded. I know you think ain't nobody around. We are surrounded. You ever been surrounded before? Ain't no way out of this. So you are surrounded. Come out with your hands up. Matter of fact, make sure you hit the ground, like Mashah. You know what they said? It's so great a cloud of witnesses. You mean how many witnesses against you? You got more than 2 or 3 witnesses against your life. You got Yahuwah, you got the Son as a witness, and then you got all the clouds and the Shamayim, all the Shamayim witness against you. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which clings closely. Right? That's what happened to him in Simeon. That's what happened to Delilah. That what happened to Shamshun, and that what's going to happen to you. And it says, and let us run, because when you got all that weight on you, because remember his mind was lightened, we just read. His mind was lightened after all of that. He got lighter. And sin that clings so closely, and let us run the endurance race. That's why people can't run for 7 days, 10 days. That's why they can't do these things. That's why they got no joy. That's why they got no, you say love. They ain't got no kindness. They ain't got no ahab. They ain't got no joy. They ain't got no peace, no patience, no meekness, no temperance, no amunah. They ain't got no faithfulness and gentleness, self-control. They ain't got none of that. Why? Because you got all these things in their heart and mind. And you know what happens? Let us run the endurance race that is set before us, looking to Yahushua, the founder and perfecter of our Amunah, right? Because he had the finish line. Come on now, you almost there. Come on, you're almost there. Because he's cheering you on, hoping you make it. You're almost there. Set before you, looking to Yahushua, the founder and perfecter of our Amunah, who for the joy, because you ain't got no joy when you got those things in your heart. Ain't no simcha in there. That was set before him, endured the cross, right? Because he was thinking about the joy that was set before him. He's like, man, I was thinking about that joy I won't get after all this. I'm going to have so much joy after this over with, man, you have no idea. You see all the stuff, he said, man, all the stuff I done been through in this life. Man, I have so much joy after this over with. I'm going to have so much simcha. Endured the cross, despising shame. He's like, man, of course people are going to despise you. Because they got folly. And they tear down everything. They destroy, just like Satan. Of course, he got fallen. And you're going to be despised too. All right, he said, Yahushua already knew why he was despised. Do you? And seated at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against him. Man, people have no idea what you're going to have to endure. You know why? Because you still associate with them. Because you don't want to endure nothing. Because you don't want to make them feel comfortable about their lives. That's the only reason you still do it. You don't want them to hate you. You don't want them to know what you do. That you ain't fully actually running it with full speed. Because you still got weights on you. You don't want them to do it. That's the only reason why you won't do it. Because you don't want to endure the hostility. You don't want them to come at you. You don't want them to talk about you. You don't want them to say nothing about you. Right? You don't want them to say nothing. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. Guilty by association. Because he will know why I started guilty. And he says, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. Because if you still keep doing it, association, you're going to get faint-hearted. I promise you, they're going to draw you in, and you're going to be gone. Them people, you're going to be like Shamshu and Delilah. Satan going to have you bound for 2 years. You're going to be the oppressor with the whip on your side. You're going to turn into them. You ain't going to hit the ground. And quickly, after you hear how Yahuwah's character is, you're not going to do it. Consider him who endured the hostility of sinners against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted in your struggle against sin. Because that's what this whole thing is about. It's gonna be sin. You're struggling. I'm telling you, everybody not struggling. It's a struggle, right? This ain't no. It's painful. It's just like exercise. It's just like any other thing you do. It's painful. It's a struggle. This ain't no overnight thing. Struggle against sin. You have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. You to the point of death. Like you ain't got to that point yet. Nobody threatening to kill you nobody ain't got none of that stuff on you yet. And you have forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons. You forgot it. My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of Yahuwah. This is the whole point. You know how you say to regard it lightly? I mean, you weren't paying no attention to it. But then when the situation comes that he told you about, and all of the bar that came in, and you get entangled with it, then that means you despise his discipline. And you know what happens when you despise Yahuwah's discipline. You bring your own self to ruin. And you know what happens after that? You're going to rage against Yahuwah. It doesn't matter who a person is, you're going to rage against him. You're going to have something to say. My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of Yahuwah, and be not weary when reproved by him, like when you get reproved. It says, for Yahuwah's discipline is the one he loves, right? So some people hold this whole thing about this, their whole argument about the Torah is just eating animal flesh. That's their whole thing, and they want to condemn you for it. They want to condemn you for what you put in your mouth, but they don't think about what they do with their hands and the folly they got. They more worried about the food you put in your mouth. Amazingly, kafar coming up. That's all people think about. You worried about some natural food that you can assume they're gonna perish, and then you look what you do with your hands and the folly and the plots and the schemes and the lying and the spying. Even with all the fresh, people got all these garments on and looking all good, but then you got all this folly and hatred and jealousy and envy and strife, complaining and robberies for almost 25 years. And they've been 25 years on YouTube, Instagram, 25 years, and then you draw other people into it, and then they got 14 years of prison. 7 years of prison, they got to stay in and get out of that whole situation and get their mind free again from the stupidity of older men and women. And poor examples of how to walk in Torah. And then you want to put it on the younger. And amazingly, that's exactly what the Torah says. The iniquity of the fathers and the mothers fall upon the children. Because you all profess yourselves to be the fathers of everything that people believe today. So therefore, your iniquity has fallen upon us. And we got to bear your sin. And you are not even ashamed of it. We got to bear it all. And there's no point. You got to bear it. And you know the sad part about it? We got to carry all your weights and your sin. Verse 4, if you struggle against sin, you have not resisted the point of shedding your blood, and you forgotten the exhortation of adjusted to you as sons. My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of Yahuwah, nor be weary when you reprove by him. For Yahuwah disciplines the one he loves, and chastises the son whom he receives. It is for discipline that you have to endure. He that endures to the end shall be saved. You get what it says? Elohim is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? If you are left without discipline, in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children and not sons and daughters. Besides this, we have had earthly fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them. And amazingly, you got earthly fathers today. I got a human being. You say, I got a human being father. You got a human being father. We had human beings, earthly people, who quarrel, fight, full of hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, lying, swindling, extortion, robbery. You had earthly fathers. They're all of the earth, earthly. Fornication, adultery, these are all earthly fathers. But you see the Shamayim father that Mashah bowed to in his character. And you're going to show more respect to your earthly mother and father, earthly people, humans, more than you. He forgives sin, transgression, and iniquity, full of steadfast love and faithfulness, everlasting love. He never sinned, neither was deceit found in his mouth. And guess what? Besides this, we have had earthly fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them. Shall we not much more? That's that above and beyond stuff. That's it. Here go that Yahusha talk. Much more be subject to the Father of spirits and live. For they disciplined us for a short time, as it seemed best to them. But he disciplines us for our good, that we may share in his kudash. Because everybody ain't been disciplined. That's why people rebel. That's why children rebel. That's why in their 30s and 40s and 50s they still rebellious. Because they never been disciplined by their parents. They haven't. That's why Yahuwah he's real. That's why he come with a whip. He be beat. He be doing all types of discipline because he already know that people ain't been disciplined like that. They have no respect whatsoever. Get what it says. For the moment, all discipline seemed painful rather than pleasant, of course. But later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. That's it, peaceful. In order to get peaceful, you gotta get disciplined, beat down. Ain't nothing gonna get peaceful around here or in your life until you get beat down. Until you get disciplined. That's the only way. That's the only way you're gonna get peaceful. You say, man, I don't got real peaceful because you will be disciplined, beaten down. That's the only reason that's the only thing you get peaceful. Because that's the only way. He'll keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on the one that you need to respect. That's the only way you're gonna get peace. Shalom. That's the only way. That's the only way. And then people say, how does that work, right? Because you started thinking about that, right? Right, this is the book of Right, so this is the book of who that one? Oh yeah. This book of Luke chapter 2 and verse 1. Actually, Luke chapter 1. Give me Luke chapter 1 and verse 39. Luke chapter 1 verse 39. In those days, Maryam arose and went into haste in the hill country to all Yehuda, and she entered the house of Zachariah and greeted Aydahchay. And when Aydahchay heard the greetings of Maryam, the baby leaped in her womb. The child leaped in the womb because he heard the voice of another righteous person, another woman. The child knew who she was. The child leaped in the womb. He jumped. Why? Because he heard what? She heard, it says, and she entered the house of Zachariah and greeted Aydahchay. She greeted her, which means she greeted her properly. If she had a child in her stomach, and she had came in there and said, "You blank and blank B, you understand blank and blank blank," saying all types of stuff. You know how he talked about going from house to house, saying all types of stuff out of her mouth? That wouldn't have been no proper greeting for holding the Mashiach in your stomach. You liar. Who you think you is? You came there and started greeting like that. And he be wondering like, what's wrong? And when Aydahchay heard the greeting of Maryam, the proper greetings, how you greet people, how you love people, how you show kindness, what you speak out of your mouth, ain't no deceit, no hatred, no envy, no jealousy, no strife, no complaining, no pride, no accusation, no accusing, and you got a child in your stomach? And we all got a child. This is your cold's trouble. Because when you don't do the proper greeting, ain't no child gonna be leaping in your womb for the right reason. This child, he said, when Aydahchay heard the greeting of Maryam, the baby leaped in her womb. It jumped. And Aydahchay was filled with the Kudash Ruach. That's another way you get the Ruach too. Just by greeting properly. Just by the way you come into a room in your presence, or going to other people's home, or just even interacting with people, it will allow you to get the Ruach. And he said in the Ruach, it says, and she was filled with the Ruach, and she proclaimed with a loud cry, and we just passed the room. What she said? She said it loud. What she do that for? To disturb Satan? Because Satan hates you. But if you come with a proper greeting and you do all these things, and guess what? Barak are you women, woman, and Barak is the fruit of your womb. And why, it says, and why is this granted to me, that the mother of the master should come to me? For behold, when the sound of the greetings came to my ears, the baby leaped for joy. Now you see why your children will come out with joy. Because you ain't got none. And you ain't greeting properly either. And you want to know what child you're going to give birth to. Because you know the fruits of the Ruach is 9 of them. Because after 9 months, a child is born. And one of those fruits is joy. And that's what comes from the way you greet people. So he said, it all works hand in hand. Nothing happens for nothing. Right? Nothing happens for nothing. Right? So this is the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 1. Sirach chapter 6 verse 1. Instead of a friend, become not an enemy. That's all you need to do. Anyway, Maureen went to her house. For thereby thou shalt inherit an ill name, right? Because once you get an enemy, you can become an ill name. Everybody gonna be talking about you. Shame and reproach, even so shall a sinner that hath a double tongue. You got a snake tongue, and you got a dove tongue. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying along. Right? Because that's what happens. As a bull. Torn in pieces as a bull. Because you know what happens? Satan comes looking for, as a raging lion, seeking somebody to devour. Get what? Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying a bull. Thou shalt eat of thy leaves and lose thy fruit. That's what's going to happen. You're going to lose all the fruits of your ruach. And leave thyself as a dry tree. You say, you're going to be a dry tree. You know what happens to a dry tree? Ain't got no water. As rain and snow come down from Shab'ay, so does the Barbie that goes out of my mouth. You know, some people want you to be a dry tree, even though you bring all this water. And you know the sad part about it, he say these other people, right, trying to create something to discredit the person who's actually doing it. Because they don't want to confess who they are. They don't want to show you that they in the kosh. So they got to do everything in their power to make it look like you did the kosh. But in actuality, they are. They are Nakash. Because they create the whole situation and then they make you seem like you evil, like Delilah. They create the whole situation like the Philistines did with Yesat, and they try to make it look like you the fleeing serpent when they are their father Satan. And amazingly, you know how many people are going to set themselves against you? Thousands. And guess what's going to happen? Because they're going to spread all this stuff to other people. Because they got envy and jealousy in their heart, like Simeon. And guess what? How can one put 1,000 to flight? And two put 10,000? You could put all of them to flight. They wouldn't be able to touch you. All you got to do is roar, lioness. All you got to do is roar, lion. That's all you got to do. And guess what? You put 1,000 and 10,000 to flight. If you believe it. And it said, a wicked soul shall destroy him that hath it, and shall make to be laughed to scorn to his enemies. That's what happens. That's what happens. Thou shalt eat of the leaves and lose thy fruit, and leave thyself as a dry tree. You're going to be eating your own flesh. Just like we just talked about in Ecclesiastes. You're going to eat your own flesh. A wicked soul shall destroy him that hath it, and shall make him be laughed to scorn at his enemies. Why? Because they got you to envy your neighbor. And then you know what they're going to do? You're going to be eating yourself, and they're going to laugh at you because they got you trapped in the prison of Satan. Because they set you up. They're going to laugh at you. But guess what happens? Sweet language will multiply friends. Marim and all Yahshua. And fair speaking tongue will increase kind greetings. The child leaped in the womb. Be in peace with many. Nevertheless, have but one counsel of 1,000. He said, you don't need all these counselors. You only need one. You know how you say excess? They're going to be gathering themselves teachers, having itching ears. How you say accumulating? You only need one teacher, and you are all brothers. And you only need one. You don't need all these. Verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him or her. For some man and woman is a friend only for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of trouble. He said, when things go down, you know how this stuff works. 1 minute you up, the next minute you down. 1 minute you up, next minute you down. But woe unto him who is alone, because some people can be with you and not help you up when you're down, even though they with you. And guess what? You still alone. That man by the pool, it was a whole bunch of people around, but he still was alone. And I wrote a song, I think it was a lyric, he says, without you, I'm alone, even when people are around. Now, you can still be alone with people around. You still can. It ain't copyright, so you can take it. I don't care. It says, be in peace with many. Nevertheless, have but one counsel of 1,000. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. For some man is a friend only for his own occasion, and will not abide in their trouble. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach. That's what strife and enmity for. They turn to get strife. You have strife, you bring the home to fighting. Then you have enmity with you. They have hatred towards you, and then they'll discover your reproach. They'll discover all your secrets. And then they're going to accuse you, even though they're in the works of the flesh and strife and enmity and hatred. And they're working together with Satan. And they're going to accuse you after they discover your reproach. But they're going to be of Satan too. Just like Delilah. She was a liar, and Shamshun was a liar. And then strife and reproach, strife and enmity, hatred came in. And then the other person started accusing him while the other person was full of the same Satan as him. Again, some friends is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of affliction. They're going to mock you. But in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself and will be bold over thy servants. If thou be brought low, when he humble you, who will take you down and abase you, he will be against thee. That's how you know who your friends are. They're going to be against you and will hide himself from thy face. He said, you're going to be alone. Woe unto him who's alone and have nobody to lift him up after he falls. It says, separate thyself from mine enemies and take heed to thy friend. Why do you think Yahushua was on the top of the totality? Away from all his enemies at the bottom. Come down from the cross, we'll believe in you. Come down from the cross. You think you the king and Malak? Why do you think he was separate from his enemies? He way up there. I ain't coming down from the cross. I'm doing a great work. It's okay though too. Because Yahushua died for your sins. He died for everybody's sins so we can repent. And there's nothing wrong with repenting. It's okay. For all have fallen and come short of the kabod. But guess what Yahushua did? We felt alone and Yahushua lifted us up. Take up your bed and walk. It's okay. You are only flesh. And once you realize that, then you understand how Yahuwah feels about you. It's going to be all right. People make it seem like, man, if he brought low, he will be against thee, right? Going to verse 16. A faithful friend is, a faithful friend is, verse 11. But in thy posterity, he will be against thee, he or she, and will be bold against thy, over thy servants. And if thou be brought low, he or she will be against thee, and will hide him or herself from thy face. Separate thyself from thy enemy, and take heed to thy friends. A faithful friend is a strong defense. Because you're going to put 1,000 to flight. 2,000, right? You're going to be able to beat the adversary together. And he that hath found such as one that found the treasure, right? And that's the whole point, right? So this is 2 Chronicles, Devarim 7, 11 through 12. Thus, Shlomo finished the house of Yahuwah in the king's house. All that Shlomo had planned to do in the house of Yahuwah in his own house, he successfully accomplished. Then Yahuwah appeared to Shlomo in the night and said to him, I heard your prayer, and have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. And when I shut up Shemaims, so that there is no rain, or commanded the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from Shemaim, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. I will heal you. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to their prayer that they make in this place, right? That's the whole point, right? Going to verse 20. Then he says, but if they turn aside and forsake my statutes and my commandments that I have set before you, and go serve other gods and worship them, then I will pluck up from my land that I have given you, and this house that I have consecrated for my name, I will cast out of my sight. And I will make it a proverb and a byword among peoples. And at this house, which was exalted, everyone will be astonished and say, why has Yahuwah done thus to this land of this house? Then they will say, because they abandoned Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Mizraim at Alanaham, and laid hold on other gods and worshipped them and served them. For he brought all these disasters on them. Right? So that word for humble is kana, kaf, nun, ayin. Right? Despise not the chastening of Yahuwah with your kaf. That's what he used, and he hits you because his hand that brings life, so you can see. To be humble, be subdued, because some people don't want to be subdued. So Yahuwah got to keep hitting you with his left hand. To bring in subjection, right? That's the only way he's going to get you down. Subjection, to bring low. He said, that's the only way I'm going to make you bow down to me. Verse Devarim chapter 8, verse 3, and he humbled you and led you to hunger and fed you with man that you did not know, because they didn't want that man. All we got is this man to eat. Nor did their fathers know, that they might know that man does not live by bread alone, lakam alone, but every man lives by every debar that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Right? That word for humble is enough. Ayin. Right? I have come that you might have sight. He came to heal the blind. Oppressed, humble, to be humble, to weaken oneself, to be humiliated, to afflict. That's what we're getting ready to do in Kafar. Enough, right? But that's all a part of it. This must leave Proverbs 29:23. One's pride will bring them low, right? Because we're going to take you down. But he who is lowly in Ruach will obtain honor. Word for lowly is shafal, the humble condition of the spirit, humiliated, lowly, humble, depressed. Why? Because these are all part of our life, right? And if you don't do it, every knee gonna bow, male and female. This is Psalms 37, 7-11. Be still before Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. That's people can't. Some people can't sit still. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in the way. Don't get angry. And that's what Simeon did. That's what envy does. It takes over your whole mind. Only people toil in the sun because they envy their neighbor. That's the only reason they do it. You get angry. You get wrathful. Over the man who carries out evil devices. Everybody evil. You say everybody evil? Yes, I am. Why do you think Yahushua died? Refrain from anger, because anger exalts folly. And wrath, that's going to make you destroy things. Kara, not yourself, it tends only to evil. It's going to angry, it's going to what? You're going to turn into Satan. I promise you. You're going to turn into Satan himself. When you talk about the man with the two horns and all that, Satan can transform into him. He can transform into a beautiful being, a beautiful woman, beautiful man, a compliment. He can even give you a compliment on the street. And then change the spirit form and come and choke you at night. He can do all that. Powerful being, right? And people say, oh no, okay. For evildoers shall be cut off, right? That's what happens eventually. But those who wait for Yahuwah shall inherit the Aydahs, right? So if you wait, all you gotta do is wait. That's what we're waiting for. In a little while, the wicked will be no more. Though that you look carefully at his place, he will not be there. But the meek, the Aydah, shall delight themselves, shall inherit the Aydahs, and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. So how you gonna get the peace? I'm talking about it. How you gonna get to a peaceful life? Yahuwah's correction. He's gonna have to chastise you. How you gonna get you to Aydah? I have to get you there, right? How am I gonna get you to quiet? That word for be still is daman. It means to what? To be silent, to be still, to be dumb, to make quiet. A handful of quietness is better than a handful of gold. I'd rather have yacht in my car full of quiet, because people ain't never been quiet. They say, man, yacht in car full of quietness, and be able to be still, right, and not speak. That's what to be dumb means. It don't mean what they call dumb, be dumb. No, that's what it means not to speak. Right, that's what that means, right? To grow, right? How you gonna grow? Quieted, relaxed, silenced, silently. Okay, that's all about. He gotta get you there. But the meek, the word for meek is Aydah, because you gotta see it. Ayin. See life and be joined to it. Poor, humble, afflicted, poor and needy. Bears a poor man with his integrity. It's better than a rich man in his folly. It is. I promise you that. That's the promise, right? Right, he says, but the meek shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in the abundance of completeness, soundness, peace and quiet, and tranquility. That's all you want. Man, you can have all the money in the world. Ain't no peace and quiet, man. It's just terrible. You can have billion, trillion, if you ain't got no peace and quiet, man, it's just like, what in the world is going on? He's like, that's all you want. It says friendly, welfare, health, prosperity, peace, shalom. Right? That's all you want. Either that or you'll never be satisfied because you envy your neighbor and you want more and more, and you'll never be satisfied. You'll never get no peace and quiet. You'll never have shalom in your mind. Ain't no way. There's no way. This is Proverbs 16, 19 through 20. It is better to be of a shafal, ruach, with the Aydah, with the humble, than to divide the spoil with the proud. And that's all you want? You want a handful of gold rather than a handful of quietness. Aydah, whosoever gives thought to the bar will discover good. My Makashaba, you have better greetings too. And Barak is the one who trusts in Yahuwah. He said, man, Barak are you. This is Proverbs 22 and 4. The reward of humility and the fear of Yahuwah is riches, honor, and life. He who has found a faithful friend is like a treasure. For you rich. You are rich. And you get honor. You get your honor back. And you get eternal life. If you find that faithful friend again. There's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Or a sister. Or a mother or a father. Or a son or a daughter. Yahushua said, if you love mother and father, son and daughter more than me, he said, you're not worthy of me. You ain't worthy to be my friend. You ain't gonna be my friend. You'll sell me out to them for me. You ain't being my friend. You ain't gonna be my friend. Nope. You associate with people who do the goyim stuff. He's like, no, you ain't worthy to be my friend. Because I testify people works are evil. You be my friend, you're gonna be telling them and you're gonna be setting me up with them. I testify that all their works are evil. And you friends with them? What you think they're gonna do to me? Through you. They're gonna use you to get to me. You can't be my friend. Modesty, right? It says condescension is the attitude. It says superiority, right? But it's just a humble state, knowing that you're going to inherit the Aydahs. Clemency is mercy and lenience, right? Because you got to show mercy. Because if you don't, then Yahuwah ain't going to have mercy on you, right? This is the book of Micah, chapter 6, 6 through 8, or 6 and 8. Micah chapter 6 and 8. He has told you, O Adam, because that word for man is Adam, because that's both male and female, is a Qahalath, what is good, right? He told you this already. And what does Yahuwah require but to do mishpat? That's proper judgment. Because you are the judge of the world, Adam. Remember, that's what they did. They ate from the tree and they got the knowledge of good and evil. And they got what? They became judges. They became judges. To do justice, do judgment, and to love Sanah, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. That's what you're supposed to do, Adam. Zakar Nakubah. To walk in justice, to love Sanah, and to walk humbly, to love Kasid, that's Kasid, I'm sorry. To love Kasid, kindness, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. To love Kasid, you gotta love kindness. You gotta have kindness so much with your judgment, Adam, because you are now a judge, because you got the knowledge of good and evil. And then what you gotta do? And to walk humbly with your Elohim. The word for humble is Sanah. Sanah. To humble, to be modest, to be lowly, to show humility, to be modest, lowly, humble, right? Humiliate. How you say, dress in modest apparel. You know, people wear them clothes. They make a whole Instagram page on it, but they don't got this though. That's just outward showing. You appear like you look like you somebody. Yeah, it look like, yeah, man, look at me. But lowly, Sanah, that word for Sanah, that word where you got Sad, that's adversary, right? Noon, Wu, and Ayin. Remember, Shaitan name means devour both male and female's life. And he the adversary. But you got the adversary of life joined to sight, right? He says, you see the adversary, well, you got Ayin on here. It says what? See, Ayin, the adversary, be joined to life. And you only can do that in humility and humble. You ain't gonna be able to see the adversary if you ain't humble. You're gonna be right with him. You're gonna be right with the adversary. Be my friend to the end. You're gonna have him on your arm. Matter of fact, you're gonna be holding his right arm. You're gonna be holding his right hand. You're gonna be holding arm to arm. You ain't gonna be able to see him if you ain't humble. Lowly, humiliate. When you get humiliated, you're gonna see the adversary. You be like, man, you're gonna see adversary everywhere. You're gonna hear a word, you're gonna hear him talk, you're gonna hear him saying stuff. You're gonna be hearing all types of stuff when you humiliate. You're gonna know the adversary. It's not that hard. Matthew 6:22-23. The eye is the lamp of the body. The Ayin. So if your Ayin is healthy, your sight, your whole body is full of or, light. But if your eye is evil, Delilah, could that what her name mean? The darkness. She a liar. Shamshun was a liar. The Philistines were plotting and scheming. It's all Satan. Everybody was in darkness. Even he was trying to keep the commandments, and he rising at midnight. You know how people get rising at midnight and give praise to Yahuwah? He said, y'all still evil. And if your eye be evil, your whole body is full of darkness. And if then the light in you be darkness, how great is that darkness? How great is it? Man, your glory is darkness. You say, how great is your darkness? If you're iron. If you judge according to outward man, of course, you're gonna be judging according to your carnal nature, your basar. But if you judge according to the heart, the inward man, you can't see that with your two eyes. You know, your natural sight. You have to look with other eyes in order to see the inward man. That's the only way you're gonna be able to see it. You can have you can have the worst vision in your physical nature, but in your spiritual nature, you can see. That's why the man came in there. He was blind. He was old in age. He was blind. That woman came in from Jeroboam. He's like, why are you pretending to be somebody else? He couldn't see, but he could sure see in the spirit world. I can see you, even though you may think I can't see, but I can see you. I can see you. This is the book of Sirach 3:17-23. My son and daughter, go on thy business in meekness. Aydah. So shall thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. The greatest among you shall be as the youngest, and the leader is one who serves. The greater you are, the more humble you serve. How you know you're great? Because you sit at the table. Which one is greater? The one who serves or the one who sits at the table? The one who sits at the table, the one who's sitting down here, and the one who's getting all of the bar. He said, you greater. Okay, therefore the greatest among you shall be as the youngest, and the leader is one who serves. Okay. Let's reverse this thing. Right? Everybody become humble. Everybody's humble. Or Yahuwah just gonna have to hit it with his cough, and he gonna hit us with his cough over and over again. It's strong too. It says, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places and in renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the Aydah, the meek. That's the people he's going to appear to. Why do you think he appeared to Mashah? He said, man, you spoke with Elohim in the fiery bush, and he took off his shoes, and he heard Yahuwah and did all these things, and he went up to the mountain, and he met with Yahuwah, and he did all these things with the lights and the firmament, and he touched the mountain, you died. Why do you think he was able to go up there? Because he was the meekest Aydah on earth. He was Aydah. He wrote on his finger the 10 commandments, right? And came down holding it. Gave him strength to go right back up the mountain after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, and he came back down with it again. How are you able to do all of that? Because you Aydah. Because you meek. Because you Sanah. Because you Kanah. Because you Aydah. Because you get chastised when it gets cough. And you get to be joined to life. Because that's a part of it. For the power of Yahuwah is great. It's Gadol, man. His kabod, his glory. You see his power. And it's honored with the lowly. That's only people who honor him. Those who see his behavior, Yahuwah is great and compassionate, forgiving sin, transgression, and iniquities. He is full of steadfast love and faithfulness. And Mashah quickly hit the ground and shakah him. He only honored with the lowly and the Aydah, the meek. Are you that type of person? For all that immersion Yahushua have put him on. We all with unveiled faces behold the kabod of Yahuwah. Is your face unveiled? Seek not out things that's too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. Right? Because you keep doing it, it's going to be weighty on you. It's going to weigh you down. Your mind ain't going to be lightened. You're surrounded by a greater cloud of witnesses. Verse 22, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Right? Because we are flesh. If we see things that are done in secret by other people and discover other people's problem, man, we're gonna lose control. We're gonna say things. We're gonna turn into Satan. It's gonna be a 2-year sentence, 5-year sentence, 3-year sentence on our mind. It's gonna be a 10-year sentence on our mind, and then guess what happens? You're gonna be bound by Satan the whole time. That's why it's better just confess your sin. Hey man, this is what happened, the truth. I don't care. They say, I'm gonna have to suffer all the things I gotta suffer, right? And by doing that, you free your mind from Satan, because Satan can't do anything to you. You're like, man, he confessed. He done said everything. It doesn't matter. You can't do anything to me. You can't. He said you can dig through the wall. Matter of fact, you can dig up my past all the way from when I was in professional sport all the way down to the end of my life. You can dig up every single thing. He said the one relationship you had, and then the other one. He said then what? And that's it. What you gonna dig up? Go dig. You can dig through my whole life. You can dig up everything. All of it I've already mentioned. He said all of it I already confessed. So what are you gonna do? He said, may not be as much as everybody else, but still, everybody understands. Everybody done things wrong. So what are you gonna do? Dig through the wall and see. He said, you could dig through a whole thing. You could dig through the whole thing. You count as a lot. I count it as loss. It's nothing. You may see it as something. I count it as a loss. It's worthless. Verse 22. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men and women understand. Why? Because you new and you lowly. I don't need to say everything y'all know. Ishas don't need to say everything they know. Why? Because they already know. If you humble and meek and lowly, you will be pouring things in your mind, and everybody ain't gonna understand what you're thinking. It's just gonna be in there. Because more things are showed unto you than people don't even understand. You don't even understand how much stuff you get when you lowly and Aydah. They don't understand. They won't. That's why I can see, he said, I can see a haughty eye from a mile away. He's like, yeah, you need to stay away from that. You need to stay away from him. You need to stay away from that person. Yeah, I don't want nothing to do with that. And you got to obey Yahuwah. Like, people say, I want Yahuwah inside of me. Okay, I got to obey what he say. I can't deal with it. I can't be around that. Can't be with that. Right, you got to do what he say. You be like, oh, I don't want to do what he says. Then you get chastised. They don't get chastised. They doing what they do. But then I do it. Then I get in trouble. That's what comes with it. You can't just do what you want. And that's just the point of it, right? That's just the point of it, right? So this is Yeshayahu. This is the last thing, Yeshayahu chapter 58, verse 1. Isaiah chapter 58. Everybody can do what else they want. I can't. That's just, Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. It says, cry aloud, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a teruah and declare to the people my transgressions in the house of Yaakov their sins. Yet they seek me daily to delight to know my ways. Don't Satan accuse you day and night? And as if they were a nation that did righteousness. That's what we be thinking. Surely it ain't because of your righteousness I delivered you with Yahushua Mashiach's blood. It's because the other nations were more wickeder than you. Please don't be thinking it's because of you. That Yahuwah fights for you. It ain't because of you. It's for his name's sake. Yeshayahu 58 and 2. As if they were a nation that did righteousness and did not forsake the judgment of their Elohim. They forsook the judgment. That's why he told Adam, he said, this is what I require you, Adam. Do judgment. Love kindness. Love Kasid, Ahab Kasid, and Darak Sanah. In the sight of Yahuwah, in your iron. Do not forsake judgment. He said, and did not forsake the judgment of Elohim. They asked of me righteous judgments. They delight to draw near to Elohim. He said, that's what you want. You want mishpat. Righteous judgment. That's what this is, right? Why have we fasted? And we get ready going kafar. And you see it not. Why have we humbled ourselves and you take no knowledge of it? Behold, it is a day of your fast. You seek your own pleasure and oppress all of your workers, right? So you got the whip on your side. What else you do? Behold, you fast to quarrel and fight, right? Because you got envy and wrath in you like Simeon. You can go far, but the kafar will be what? In the image and likeness of Satan. And hit with the wicked fist. That's what people do. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice to be heard on high. You was like, what kind of child you think? What you think this is? You can just do what you want in my house. You was like, I'm gonna hit you with my cough. And I'm gonna hit you hard. You know what it says? Is such a fast that I choose a day for a person to humble himself? Is such the fast that I choose a day for a person to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a reed and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? He has in questions. Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to Yahuwah? So will you do that? This type of fast is for your sin. A fast for sin? Because that's what type of fast that is. It's a fast for sin. That's not the fast Yahuwah chose. This is the fast that he just asked you a question about. This is a fast for sin. But let's leave verse 6. Is not this the fast that I choose? So now you see the sin fast. For all the stuff they were doing, you see what y'all doing? Let me show you the type of fast Yahuwah wants. Is not this the fast that I choose, to loose the bonds of wickedness? I'm trying to set you free. I'm trying to get Satan out your mind. To undo straps of the yoke, he got you in prison. In your mind. And let the oppressed go free, I'm trying to make you go free. And to break every yoke, I'm trying to make you joyful again. Simcha. Full of kindness. And loving mercy again. Like me. Is it not to share your bread with the hungry? That's what I want you to do. And to bring the homeless and poor into your house, that's the type fast I want to see. When you see the naked, to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh. What are you gonna hide for? A friend, you only a friend at the table, huh? But in the day of trouble, you know where to be found. He said, how can two? He said, two is better than one. But if one falls and he have nobody to lift him up, woe unto him. So that's just you, huh? Verse 8, then shall your light break forth like the dawn. He said, then you're going to be the dawn. You be like the 12 rays of light. You be like the dawn as the sun coming out of this portal. And your healing shall spring up speedily. And you'll be healed. Because the sun is just like, the sun heals your body. We talked about it before. The molecule of the air, the molecule of the water, and the molecule of the sun. He said, your healing will spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you, and your kabod of Yahuwah shall be your rear guard. He's going to guard you all around. Then you shall call, and Yahuwah will answer. You shall cry, and he will say, hear, I am. If you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger, Delilah, Shamshun, you lied to me these 3 times, you mocked me. You plotting and scheming Philistines, Shamshun, you liar. All these things that people do, Simeon, plotting and scheming, wrathful, envy and jealousy. All these are part of the behaviors of people. You pointing the finger. Who are you to judge your neighbor? And speaking wickedness, speaking things you ought not to do, house to house, busybodies, and other men all over the place. If you pour yourself out for the hungry, he said, how do you do that for the hungry? And satisfy the desires of the afflicted, how about you do that for the people who are humble and new? Then shall your light rise in darkness, then your eye be healthy. Then your iron will be healthy, and you'll be full of light. And your gloom shall be as a noonday, then you'll be full of light. And Yahuwah will guide you continually and satisfy you your desire in scorched places and make your bones strong, not weak, because envy and jealousy rots the bones. Because it'll be healing to your shore and refreshment to your bones. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water. It's going to be pleasant. It's going to be peaceful. You ever been in a water garden? It's peaceful. It's pleasant. And it's good to the sight. And pleasant to the ears. Because it's quiet. Whose waters do not fail. He said, you'll never be dry. You'll never be dry like them other plants. Like those who lose their fruit, who consume each other. You'll never be like that. And your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. Your ancient what? Your ancient ruins rebuilt. You'll be rebuilt again. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. I will not, Yahuwah, until the gray hair, until I declare you to another generation. You're going to raise up many generations. And you shall be called the repairer of the breach. Because this is all repairing. This is how you repair the breach. Because the breach has been made bigger and 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 bigger till hell has enlarged itself. And it's spread through without measure. It's so huge right now. The breach is huge. And nobody cares. The portal is huge now. Nobody cares. Careless daughters. And get what it says, the restorer of streets to dwell in. You can't even go outside now. Where you gonna go? You scared to death. And guess how you do it? If you turn your foot, you'll turn back your foot from the Shabbat. Anyway, it says it's Shabbat. This is the fourth. Amazingly, this is the 4th day, and this getting ready to end. The 4th day of what? This is the Turah, and it's the 4th commandment. That's how you do it. From doing your own pleasure on the Kodash day and call the Shabbat a delight, the Kodash day of Yahuwah honorable. If you honor it, not doing your own ways or seeking your own pleasure or talking idly, saying things you ought not to. As women go busybodies and other men going from house to house saying things they should not, or as men do it, then you shall delight yourself in Yahuwah, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth. Aburaku kanaf hanak ruach. Right? We're going to ride on the wings of the wind, and I will feed you with the heritage of your code. From the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. Right? So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the true light. And as we move on into the 5th day. Right? We look into the 5th day, the 5th commandment. We look at ourselves and we look at our own self. We look at our inward man, we look at our inward being. We not walk after our own will, our own lust, and our own mind, but according to the bar. And walking anew. And as soon as we hear Yahuwah's character, we know it. He's full of compassion and mercy, faithfulness and gentleness. He's full of forgiving sins, transgressions, and iniquities, but he will no wise clear the guilty. And once we do that, as Aydah, as humble, we understand to do it quickly in Shakah. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Aydah shall inherit the Aydahs.